Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
So what do you do if your online marketing results are not working as well as you would like? In today's episode, I want to go over this topic around online marketing versus offline marketing, but I want to provide a couple of caveats before you make any drastic shifts. So one of the emails, one of the questions, one of the pieces of feedback that I get every single week goes something along the lines of this. Michael, XYZ, so Facebook ads, Google ads, usually it's the paid traffic stuff, doesn't seem to be working. And anytime I get those messages, I cringe just a little bit because as an entrepreneur like yourself, I too want the instant gratification. I want someone to fill out a form. We can get a hold of them the first time. They come in, take a tour, they enroll. Great, like it black and white. Not only is it working, like it's getting knocked out of the park. So like I want that for you as well. And I want it for all my centers. But unfortunately, the age of digital marketing doesn't necessarily work like that. So rather than getting so in the weeds in today's episode on all the things that you could check with your online efforts, I want to spin this a little bit and have you think about the parent journey. I was going to say the life cycle, but the journey of a family. And these journeys are going to take a couple of different paths with you. And that's going to largely be based on the age of the child. So for example, you could have a parent journey of someone that's 4 months pregnant, doesn't even have a child that's walking around just yet, but they want to start to do research. They want to figure out, great, what are the different centers that are around me, pros and cons, the costs, all of that good stuff. You could have the journey where someone just moved to your area and they had care, now they want to quickly try and find good care. You could have families that are looking for a 1-year-old. You could have families that are only looking for pre-K or only looking for summer camp. One of the challenges of this industry, among many, many challenges, is that you have different personas, you have different journeys that a family is going to go with you. And when you start to think about the journey aspect, it'll change your perspective a little bit on the online stuff. And then I'm going to spend more of our time today talking about how you can add in some offline marketing. But let's just stick with that example of a mom and dad. They are a couple of months pregnant. They fill out a form, so they see a Google ad. They Google Montessori Center near me. They click on it, and let's just say for now, they don't call in. They fill out a form. Great, you call them. Your team offers to book a tour. They say, great, we'd love a tour. And on that call, that could go in one of a couple different directions. So if the person on the other side is doing their job effectively, they're going to ask about the age, and you might say, well, we haven't even delivered yet. And hopefully they don't laugh, because that literally, that's happened more times than you would like. Hopefully they're ready for that particular scenario, and they still schedule a tour. Great, they're going to come in. They're not going to enroll. 3 months, 4 months, that's not where their mindset is. But their journey, they might want to shop around a little bit. And then as things get a little bit closer, they might get a little bit more serious and say, well, we think we're going to be delivering on December 1st. We'd love to have some care ready to go in January. Now, if you were to not have anything else from a marketing standpoint that happens from that call till when the baby's delivered, and a little bit after the fact, you're going to lose out on that opportunity. And if you were to only look at it and say, well, we got it, and let's say you got a couple of those people, the people that are in that shopping stage, which is really what's happening more and more in today's environment. You might say, well, these leads are not great, they're not converting. Not every family is going to be ready to go. They're not all going to want to enroll right away, but the centers that are winning are doing two different things. Number one, when that family comes in, when that lead comes in, they're continuing to nurture that opportunity for as long as needed. They're not calling it a dead lead if they can't get a hold of someone in the course of a week or two, or if they don't text you back. They're not just, well, we didn't hear, we tried a few times through email, we didn't hear back, so they're moving that to lost. They're continuing to nurture through emails, text messages, and some offline stuff, which we'll talk about in just a second. So anytime you feel like something may not necessarily be working, I want you to pause for a second and look at the journey of a parent, and knowing that there's going to be different paths. They're going to go to your website. They might go to a Facebook group, one of the local mom groups, and ask a question. They're typically going and visiting 3 to 5 centers where it used to be 1 or 2 centers. That journey has changed, and you need to also be able to accommodate all of these different ages. So how do you increase the effectiveness? So the first one that we already talked about was the longevity of nurture. You do not stop nurturing your leads. What does it cost you to send another email? 0. Why does it matter? Well, they haven't responded to 10 emails. And what if they are in that journey of the family that's shopping 8 months or 9 months in advance? It's not costing you anything extra. So continue that nurture sequence. But number 2 is I want you to start thinking about where you can integrate some offline marketing and just some offline tactics. And I'm going to talk a fair amount about this in the coming months, but as AI continues to, I was going to say level the playing field, but that's not necessarily the right way to describe it. As AI is getting more and more prevalent in everything, and I can now spot it because I work with AI for many, many years and have been, and all day long. Like I can spot AI written content. There's certain tells, like they've got the little emojis and things like that. Like it's a Chat GPT written email. But as more and more of that comes in handy to people, because now they can build these sequences that I'm talking about, unfortunately, what's happening is that the centers that didn't do any marketing are now, they think they're doing marketing because they're slapping some AI stuff up there. So your potential families are getting inundated with more emails, more social media posts, more messages every day than they have been, because you can go and leverage a tool like ChatGPT and have it crank out 150 social media posts in the next 10 minutes. So you're seeing more and more messages, whereas maybe a center in the past, maybe they posted a few times a week. So how do you grab that attention? You grab that attention by moving your message offline in tandem with all the online stuff. You don't stop the online. So where would I start? There's a lot of places you could start. And I'm going to go to the one that is the most obvious, in my opinion, but not necessarily the one that I think you should start with, but the one that I want to encourage you to start with, and that is community events. What are all the different places that you can show up? I've talked a lot about the importance of your brand. What schools can you partner with? What events can you go and give out free backpacks, for example? Like, where can you show up and have your brand front and center and just create goodwill? That's always one of the places that I like to start. But number 2, I want you to look at how you can get your message in front of the right people in their physical mailboxes. So think about digital mailbox versus physical. Are you getting more and more email every single day? The short answer is yes. And if you're not using filtering tools like I do, I used to get 3,000 to 4,000 emails a day. Now, granted, I've signed up for lots of newsletters and things like that. Buy lots and lots of stuff, then you're on all these newsletters. So it's calmed down to a few hundred, but even a few hundred takes hours a day to get through. Thankfully, I have an assistant to help me with this. But when I look at my physical mailbox, I'm not getting 100 times more than I was 10 years ago. I can argue that I'm getting less because businesses are saying it's too expensive to mail a catalog, direct mail. Now that stuff doesn't work anymore. So I want you to look at what tactics do you want to leverage to get into your prospects' physical mailbox. The easiest place to start is doing some direct mail with an oversized postcard. The secret sauce to this is that you need to do it in a sequence of 3 to 5. So if you're going to mail it to 1,000 families, I'd rather you hit 300 families 3 times than 1,000 families once if your budget doesn't allow. So it needs to be a series of postcards. It needs to be drafted well, simple message, and you can drive them with a QR code to an online website, for example, or a trackable phone number. The other thing that I'm seeing insane success with are centers that are putting out a quarterly newsletter that's getting physically mailed. They're mailing it out to all their current families, and then they're mailing it out to prospects so that they can also see all the fun things that are happening. You might say, well, Michael, this is a ton of work. Like, I can barely keep up with what I'm doing now. So first, you're not the one that should be doing this. Your team should be in tandem with an agency like mine. But B, that's the cool advantage of AI, is that it can help get these things done. We just completely redid the brand for a center that has 15 plus locations. Something that I, in the past, probably would have charged $20,000, $25,000 for, because it would be hundreds of hours. We were able to spend about 10 hours and nail everything down, leveraging several different AI tools and obviously our proven processes. It's not you just load stuff in and it gives you an amazing rebrand or logo, but it's speeding everything up. So if you have some of the meat and potatoes for your newsletter, AI, one of any of the tools, Canva, for example, can make you a beautiful newsletter that you can print out. And when you start to combine that with online, you're going to only become more omnipresent, and your conversions and your messaging, everything will just continue to grow. Another place that you could look at is lumpy mail. And lumpy mail is where you're literally physically sending out something in the mail that's lumpy. Now, depending on your unique selling proposition, your USP, maybe you got the best price in town. Well, then I would send something out saying you're shredding money. So you literally give them shredded money if you're going to a different center other than ours, because we've got the best price in town. Maybe you mail out a little mini diploma that's lumpy mail, or a little hat, graduation cap, for example. These things are not overly expensive. We're talking $1 or $2. So you're not having to invest $10,000 in a campaign. These types of things get you noticed, but they're different. If everyone else can go and try and take some Facebook ads live and Google ads and YouTube and things like that, which they can, thankfully we produce better results than everyone. But a lot of people will slap up an ad and they think that that's going to work well. If everyone's doing that, but very few people are trying to put their time and energy in the offline marketing, that's where I'd rather see you pivoting. Continue all the digital stuff, but add a little bit of extra budget to test out a postcard campaign over the course of 60 days. Test out some lumpy mail. Test out a gifting strategy. Test out sending a quarterly newsletter. Because again, if you know that parent's journey and you go back to that, if you can hit them in different places, email, text message, phone, Facebook, physical letter, handwritten card, lumpy mail object, physical newsletter or magazine, that's only going to get you more and more noticed. So before you think that something isn't working, I need you to pause and look at the journey and understand that the average family is taking 3 to 5 months to make a decision. You've got to be playing the long game. You've got to be in this to win it, so to speak, and you do that by consistently showing up. But then again, my big action for you today is to pick one or two offline marketing tactics that you can weave in and be found in your prospects and families' physical inbox rather than just their digital one. If I can serve you in any way, if our agency can help you in any way, it's no joke, childcare.com. You can schedule a free enrollment acceleration call. We would absolutely love to serve you. It's Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.